Today is the 30th day of the month of Tishrei. We are in the middle of chapter 5 discussing praying and studying Torah with a clean body and in a clean location. Today we will be going from paragraph 9 through the end of the chapter, paragraph 17. Paragraph 9. Yesterday we said that if there's excrement in the room, then as long as you're not facing it and you want to pray or study Torah, then you have to be 4 cubits away from the edge of the smell, and then you're good to go. If it's in a shul, in a synagogue, however, then even if it's behind the chazan, the leader of the prayers still cannot continue until it is totally removed. This is because in a synagogue, even if it's behind the chazan, the leader, it's very likely it's going to end up in front of somebody else. And like we saw yesterday, if it's in front of you, then it has to be far away enough that you can't see it. So with the synagogue, you just got to remove it. The only real practical cases that I could think of is if there's a baby in shul, in synagogue, and the baby has a dirty diaper, or if there's services going on in an old age home, and some of the residents have sadly become incontinent, then this would be relevant. Paragraph 10. Let's say you finished praying, and then you notice, oh my goodness, there's a dirty diaper over there in the corner of the room, and it was within 4 cubits of you. Was that a valid prayer, or do you have to pray a second time to make up for that prayer? So if it was a place that you should have checked out because it was a place that there was a strong possibility of there being a dirty diaper in the room, then yes, that prayer was not valid, and you have to repeat that prayer. If you made a blessing, you have to repeat that blessing. Bircha Hamazon, the grace after meals, got to be repeated. The fact that we were negligent in how we prayed makes our prayer invalid. However, if there was no reason to suspect there would be a dirty diaper in the room, then it's not a problem, the prayer is still valid. Paragraph 11. If somebody passes gas while they are in the middle of praying or learning, they have to wait for the odor to dissipate to continue. Paragraph 12 discusses praying in the presence of an outhouse, and that doesn't really have any practical ramification for us in 2024, so we're going to go to paragraph 13. I don't think this is practical in 2024, but if somebody does have in the room a chamber pot, say in a hospital, a chamber pot which is made out of wood or pottery, then that would be a problem. Even if it was empty, praying in the presence of such a chamber pot would be a problem. If it's made out of glass or metal, since those are able to be cleaned very well, then if they're clean, then there's no issue. Nowadays, again, like we mentioned yesterday, the standard case where this would be practical is in a hospital, in the ICU unit specifically, where very often the rooms don't have their own bathrooms attached, and there's like a chamber pot in the room if a patient has to go to the bathroom. Since they're made out of smooth plastic, and they're able to be cleaned very well, very easily, then I think that should have the same rule, same status as a metal or a glass chamber pot, and it would be okay to pray or study Torah in that room, even if the chamber pot is in there, as long as it is clean. Paragraph 14. Before modern day showers, if somebody wanted to go get themselves a nice good shower, they'd go to a bathhouse, public showers. Nowadays, there are spas, things of that nature, but this would be mostly relevant in a locker room shower. In a bathhouse or a locker room shower, one is not allowed to study Torah or pray. We're also not allowed to mention God's name, and we're not even supposed to be mentioning God in other languages either. So saying the word God in a bathhouse or a bathroom would be a problem. One of God's names, Shalom, the word that we use to greet somebody in Hebrew. So we're not supposed to say Shalom to anybody in a bathroom or in a bathhouse. As a matter of fact, Shalom is also could be the name of a person. So if you have a friend whose name is Shalom, then you shouldn't be calling them by their name. It's allowed, but it's best to avoid calling them by their name when you're in the bathhouse or the bathroom. Paragraph 15. One is not supposed to pray or say or study Torah in the presence of what's called in Hebrew an erva. The most basic definition of erva is someone's exposed private areas. We're going to see in the next few paragraphs a bit more details about what other things the erva could include. If it's a young child that's turning around not wearing any clothes on, then that would be okay. But even by young children, we should try to be strict and not pray or study Torah if they are around and they're not wearing any clothes. The one exception to this is obviously a bris, where we do make blessings as we're about to give the baby boy a bris, and obviously the baby boy's private area is exposed for the bris. Closing one's eyes does not help for this, so if you want to make a blessing or pray or anything of that sort, and there is somebody who's not fully clothed in the same room, then you should go to a different room to make the blessing or to pray. Paragraph 16. Erva, which I mentioned in the last paragraph, the most basic level is one's private parts, it can include a bit more than that. It's really any area which is supposed to be covered due to tznius, due to the laws of modesty. If there's somebody in the room and they're not dressed appropriately, then you should refrain from making a blessing or studying Torah until you're in a different room. Paragraph 17 talks about one's own private areas. Just like I can't make a blessing in front of somebody else's exposed private area, one can't make a blessing in front of their own exposed private area as well. They have to make sure that they are dressed appropriately before praying or studying Torah. Men have an extra level of severity of this, which is that they have to have some sort of separation between their private areas and their heart. So even if a man is wearing a loose robe, there's no belt, so their private area, quote unquote, sees the heart, and vice versa, then they're not allowed to make any blessings, can't study Torah. If they do have a belt around the robe and their ends tied tightly, so there's a separation between their private area and their heart, then that is okay to make blessings and study Torah. Ladies do not have this rule, and if they're wearing a loose-fitting robe, then it's totally fine for them to pray or study Torah or make any blessings, even though there's no belt holding down the robe in the middle. This concludes today's episode. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.